Hello, and welcome to day 2 of Belle's Bookish Awards show. This is Heather, and I will be your host today. And today we are going to go through some more unique categories and rank again our top 2 books in these categories. So let's go ahead and start off with the prettiest cover category. Again, all of these books are books that I have read in 2020, and I am just ranking the top 2 in several different categories for your guys' liking. So, the prettiest cover, our runner-up is going to be 5 Feet Apart. I usually would have this book to show you guys, but I did loan it out, but it is the most beautiful cover, and it actually really envelops the story. As you can see, we have a picture of lungs, but with these beautiful flowers, and it is just gorgeous, and I love it so much. And the story does follow a couple of teenagers who have CF, which is a disease in the lungs. So it fits just perfectly with this book. The winner, though, of this category has to go to Elizabeth Acevedo with The Fire on High. She has some seriously gorgeous books. Look at how beautiful this is, front and back, and also under the cover. Here's the naked book, just as beautiful without the dust jacket as with it. So this will be our winner today. The next category we will talk about is books that made me cry the absolute most this year. There were not very many books that did that to me this year, but I can think of 2 specifically that just had me streaming with some tears. One of them being Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This book is a beautiful romance, a second chance romance, but man, does it pack a punch. And it just, oh man, the depth in here, it's beautiful and wonderful, and it really makes this story come to life, but it'll have you crying as well. And our winner in this category literally had me bawling for probably an hour or 2 as I read and finished this book. I just remember just having tears just streaming and streaming and streaming. And that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I don't know that I feel like I hear a lot of people who have said this made them cry, but this one just got me. And there's a certain twist at the end, and that's when they just really just wrench you with the knife and twist. Oh man, this one got me good. So let's talk about some of the weirdest books of the year. In this category, I actually ended up with a couple of horror books, and one was actually a horror graphic novel. That is Through the Woods. So this graphic novel has some gorgeous art in reds and blues and blacks and whites, and the collection of stories in here are definitely very weird and different. There's 5 stories, and each of them is very much left open. And there's a lot of interpretation, and they're just a little odd, and you're just like, what? But I really enjoyed it still, and you know, it just makes you think a little bit more and go back and look at the pictures and see if you can piece something else in there. But definitely got some weird ones out of there. Oh, I remember one of them had some teeth, and they just could hear them grinding, and it just, woo. The winner of this category is going to go to The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. And in this one, we definitely have some weird stuff going on with like some body horror, like, you know, I don't know. It was odd, and you're going into another world that is within our world. There's just a lot of weird elements to it. Yeah, that world was just weird. Like, there was a school bus, and there was like the kids were like in the seats and like pushing out of them and stuff, and I don't know. It was a weird book. It was entertaining and good and different, and I'm glad I read it, but it was weird for sure. While we are still on the vein of the horror genre, I have the grossest books of the year that I read. I'm sure you guys can guess what the winner of this one is, but let's talk about our runner-up, which is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. This book by Grady Hendrix was, oh man, it wasn't the grossest book I've ever read, but it definitely had some really gross moments where you're just like, oh no, like a raccoon is biting her ear off, and like there's some weird body eatingness going on, and I don't know that I was totally turned off from the book by it for sure, because it wasn't that bad, but it definitely had its moments where I was squirming. The next book, I think it was a little too much for my little stomach over here. It was just, woo, it was a little bit too much for me. But that will be The Troop by Nick Cutter. If you guys have read this book, you know what I'm talking about. It is just, you gross, nasty. Like these kids on an island, they get a parasite and it like eats them, and it's just worms and just grossness, and oh, it is the grossest book I've ever read in my life. So there you go, our winner of the grossest category. Let's move on to something a little bit happier and lighter. We are going to talk about the sweetest books of the year. So our runner-up is going to go to the Heartstopper graphic novels. Nick and Charlie make this the cutest, sweetest stories ever as we follow them and their friendship and their relationship and how it develops into something more. And they are just so pure of heart that you just love them so much, and it is the sweetest. So sweet. But the winner of the sweetness category has to go to The House in the Cerulean Sea. The kids that make up this orphanage, that they just, oh my gosh, my heart just melts for them. I just want to hug them and cuddle them and love them, and they each have such unique personalities. We have this kind of blob, like I think of like Bob in that movie with the aliens. Oh man. Anyways, we have this blob kid who wants to be a bellhop, and we have a really sweet little worm. I don't know how to say it, but he is just like this creature with just his little wings are just too big for him, and he just flops over, and oh my gosh. And then one of the kids, you know, he's supposed to be the son of Satan, but like he's really like his heart's in the right place. He's just super cute and sweet, but he's also got kind of a sadistic sense of humor, and it's kind of funny coming out of a kid. And yeah, you just, oh my gosh, you have to read this story because the kids are just so stinking cute. I mean, seriously, talking about them right now, my cheeks are starting to hurt because I'm smiling so much because they're just so stinking cute. So, sweetest story of the year right there. The next category we will talk about is the most twists in a story category. So, second in this category is going to go to He Started It. I still am not really sure what happened at the end of this book. It took me on a ride. And honestly, it's one of those books where you don't like any of the characters. They all have some major flaws happening. And then the end happens, and then somehow you're rooting for some of the characters that you were just like, no, I don't like this character. And then you find out a whole bunch of other things. There was just a lot of twists at the end of this book that I thoroughly wasn't expecting at all. And the characters that I thought maybe were semi-decent people were not decent people. Yeah, no. Very twisty-turny. Our winner in this category seems to be winning some serious awards this year, but Illuminae. I talked about this in our last awards show. If you haven't checked it out, I will put it in the cards and down below. But Illuminae, I did not read the synopsis. I just knew generally what it was about from book 2. And I didn't get spoiled for a lot of things in this book, and it made me feel like there was a million twists. I kept getting surprised by this and that and this and that, and I just thoroughly enjoyed this. And I definitely just remember being thrown off several times throughout this book. So our last category today is going to be the most lyrical, and this means in the writing. I love lyrical writing, and these are a couple of books that I just feel like fit perfectly into this category. So our runner-up here is going to be the Wayward Children series stories, and this follows some kids who end up falling into these portals into other worlds where they feel like they fit better, but then somehow they end up back in our world. and it's kind of their stories, a little bit in this world, a little bit in the other world, and the writing is just super magical and lyrical and beautiful, and I love it. And our winner in this category goes to Caraval, which also very much gives you that magical lyrical writing and makes the story just so much more beautiful and enjoyable. So that is going to be the end of our award show today. I hope you will tune back in for another round next year, but this is going to wrap up our award show this year. You guys have a wonderful rest of your 2020, and we'll see you again next year. Also, you guys can check back on Mondays and Thursdays for more videos. I will be putting up some of my top 10, bottom 10 books of the year, some of my goals for this channel, and so many more things soon. So I'm really excited to be talking to you guys some more, and I really hope that you guys will stick around and subscribe, and you guys have a wonderful day.